it's Carrie from KDS Insurance Services again. I am responding to actually several people who have reached out to me in the last few days about automobiles and what happens in this situation that we all find ourselves in if you happen to be in the Houston area, and damages to your car. So, the first thing I want to talk about is cars that are on your property, right? Let's say they're in your driveway and something happens in the house, or you've got a tree that falls on your car. So it's something from your property or from your home, trees included. Let's say, for example, your patio was picked up and blown and it landed on your vehicle. I actually saw that happen to somebody here in the Houston area. Or you have these massive big trees that fall and take out your cars. What policy of yours is going to pay first? Okay, right? It's your homeowner's policy. Your homeowner's policy actually protects you in the event that you have damages from your home. Okay, it protects you and it protects somebody else. So if your tree not only takes your car out, but it's big enough to take the neighbor's fence out or land on the neighbor's house as well, then it's actually going to protect you from a lawsuit from your tree damaging somebody else's property. So you have two situations there. If your vehicles are on your land and it's trees or debris that comes from your home, your homeowner's policy will pay for that. Let's say, however, though, it's kind of not that situation. Let's say you decided on Monday afternoon, for whatever reason, you had an emergency and you had to get out in the storm, and you either had water damage or hail damage or something along those lines. Then there are coverages that protect your car in that event. Okay. If, for example, you have hail damage, that is your auto policy, if you carry comprehensive coverage, is going to repair hail damage, windshield damage, paint damage, anything that is weather related. Okay? If you have a collision, however, and you collided with something, then it is your collision coverage. Let's say you've parked your car on the street, which is public property, okay? And a tree from the neighbor's yard fell on your house. What's going to pay for that? Well, your neighbor's homeowner's policy should pay for that. So it's important to know in these situations where the damage came from, so you can use the appropriate policy to pay for the damages to your automobile. Now, in situations like this, when we have these tornadoes and we have this very bad weather and we have streets that are flooding, your car policy actually does have some, unlike your home policy, does have protection for that. Your home, however, does not. You will never have any high water or flooding that is covered by a homeowner's policy. It has to come from a flood policy, which is a FEMA product. It is managed and operated from FEMA. So I know that's a complicated answer to those questions, but that's the situation when you're talking about multi-policies, and it can sometimes be even a little bit more complicated if your auto and your home are with the same company, because then the company is going to decide which one's going to pay first, right? That's sort of out of your control when everything is bundled together. And that's really hard in this market, in the Texas market right now. There's really only 3 carriers that are willing to bundle your auto and your home together. But unfortunately, their pricing generally is much higher than you can find it by putting your auto here and your home here. And of course, what is going to happen, and I know you don't want to hear this because I don't want to hear it, it is going to affect our rate again. This catastrophe is going to challenge the insurance companies and their profitabilities, And even though you and I, because I'm a consumer too, have no control over what Mother Nature does, this catastrophe is definitely going to influence and change our rate. And unfortunately, some of these carriers that have been teetering on the fence as to whether or not they're going to stay in the state of Texas, this may just push them over. So if you're with a smaller carrier, depending on what the actual numbers look like, you could be looking at needing to change your homeowner's insurance at renewal, because this is definitely not helping the Texas insurance market. If anything, it's going to adversely affect it again. And as I've said before, I really do hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I think it's so important for all of us as consumers in this state to be aware of what is going on, where we are headed, and the challenges that we're going to face, unfortunately. God bless. Please, let's continue to pray for those people who still don't have power, for those families who've lost loved ones. We lost somebody else today due to the heat and no electricity. And for all those people that were injured in this terrible storm, let's continue to pray for all of those people, that they obviously find peace and God's grace and recover. And also a shout out to the governor and the lieutenant governor on their fantastic representation for us Texans. They will get to the bottom of what's gone on with this electrical problem, and I do feel like there's going to be some significant, what's the right word? There's going to be a lot of people that have a lot to answer for, because they were not ready. I don't think any of the electrical providers are truly ready, especially if we have another hurricane and more tornadoes. So here's a really big important tip. If you can find one, look at finding a generator. There are several types of generators, but the two I'm particularly talking about are generators that can run your refrigerator, your cell phone chargers, your fans, or small air conditioning units that you can put in your bedroom so you can at least be comfortable at night. There's smaller type generators. Then there are really big generators that can run your entire house. Those are very expensive, but I feel like at this stage of the game, everybody should be thinking about that and at least looking into what that's going to cost, because this is happening more and more, and it's pretty obvious that as consumers, we've got to make sure that we have what we need, because the electrical companies have seemed to have forgotten how to be prepared. This is Carrie. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful and marvelous Monday, if you can, wherever you are. God bless America.